can't move so much or the camera's gonna shake. Hello, good people of YouTube. I'm trying to change the way I start my videos, so bear with me while I experiment with some things. As you all know, I have been living in London for the past— oh my god, every time I move it shakes. Okay, I'm just gonna have to stay really still, which is very difficult for me. Anyway, as you all know, I've been living in London for about 4 years now. I moved here for university and just completely moved my life over here. Don't really go home that often. This is my home now. And so I thought that I would just tell you about the decision of doing that, how I came to it, why I did what I did, how I got to this point of being here rather than there and everything. A bit like a story time, but not really, just kind of chatting about the entire thing. I know a lot of people wonder whether they should study abroad or go to uni in a different state or anything like that, and so I thought if I just talked about my experience, I guess it could help people. So if not, it's just a story, I guess. So basically, in high school, I went to 2 different high schools. I went to one that was a private school up in the city, and then after a year, I transferred to my public school in my town. The one that I went to in the city was an IB school. So if you don't know what that is, it's an international baccalaureate. And the way that the school system worked was that in your first 2 years of high school, so freshman and sophomore year, you finished all of your high school credits so that you could focus on the IB during junior and senior year. And so basically you did 4 years of classes in 2 years. So my 1 year there, I basically did 2 years. And so when I transferred back to my other school, I should have skipped a grade entirely. I should have gone in as a junior instead of a sophomore, but they wouldn't let me. And so instead I just had an absurd amount of credits. And so I had to repeat a few classes because they wouldn't let all of my all of my credits transfer. They had some rule that you were only allowed a certain amount of credits, and I had almost double that, and so I wasn't allowed to transfer everything, so I had to repeat things like English and chemistry and things like that. After sophomore and junior year, basically, I was really unhappy. I did not have the best high school experience. It was just not my favorite time, as with a lot of people. And I became really focused on cheer, and cheer kind of became my life. As I said before, I was on a competitive cheer team as well as high school, but competitive is what I was really, really into, what I was really focused on. Basically, my entire life revolved around cheer. I was looking at schools that had cheer teams, and then I hurt my shoulder and basically made it so that I couldn't cheer anymore, and I had to quit all of my teams, and the only way that I was gonna get better was surgery, and that was gonna be such a long recovery process that I just wasn't going to be able to do it anymore. And so my world kind of came crashing down. I already was really unhappy. I didn't really have that many friends. My boyfriend went away to college. I didn't really have anything keeping me there anymore except for my family. And so when I finally got to the point of just I wanted to get the hell out of there. I didn't have cheer anymore. I didn't have any friends. My brother was off at school. It was just a very overwhelming time for me. And we started thinking about the fact that I could graduate in December. I think it was end of August, beginning of September that I started really thinking about it. I realized that the only things other than the classes that I was taking that semester, the only other ones that I needed were 1 online class and 1 class up at my community college. And I was only taking, I think, 4 classes my senior year. So I was taking 6 in total. And with those 2 extra classes, I literally could graduate in December. And so I started doing that, and I didn't tell anyone. It was a combination of I wanted to not jinx it and like didn't know if I was going to be able to get the online class done in time. I didn't want to get my hopes up and tell people and then have it all come crashing down. I started looking into a bunch of different things like volunteering abroad, things like that, because most schools wouldn't accept me for the spring. That I would have had to just basically wait until the following fall to start. I could have started community college and everything, but I didn't want to stay in my town. And that was the whole point, was that I was graduating so that I could get out of there. My mom's boss mentioned to me that he spent a year in London when he didn't know what he wanted to do, and he went to this one specific school and told me about it, and I looked into it and saw that they had rolling admission for the entire year. If you don't know what that is, it's basically instead of having one specific deadline that you have to apply to and then finding out months later, you apply whenever you want, and they take each application as it comes instead of having everyone looked at the same time. They look at it when you submit it. And so I applied just kind of on a whim. 3 weeks after I applied, I heard back and I was accepted, pending my graduation, of course. So then a whole bunch of stuff happened that was super stressful, about like getting my UK passport ready so that I didn't have to do all the visa stuff, and then not knowing if I was actually going or not knowing if we could afford everything. Also didn't even know if I was graduating. It got to the point where I wasn't even sure if I was finishing or not, but I remember my last class being like, wait, this might be the last time I ever have to be here. And getting really excited, but then also having to calm myself back down and be like, okay, Emma, don't jinx it. We don't know for sure, all that stuff. And then finally, I graduated officially, found out that I was gonna get my passport, and decided to go. And it was all very, very last minute. I decided, like, final answer, that I was gonna go around December 20th, I think, and then left January 2nd, and that was it. And so it was very much a whirlwind. I had never visited the school, didn't know what I was doing. My thought process with it was that it was just going to be for the semester, just kind of like using up that space that I didn't know what to do with my time. And then I was going to come back in the summer and go to school in California in the fall. And that was my plan the entire time. It was a very temporary situation. I had every intentions of coming back to California, and then I just fell in love with it here. I made some friends that I wasn't ready to leave, and I loved London too much. And it's crazy once you spend that much time in a place and you have the option to come back instead of like studying abroad somewhere. You know that that's temporary because you have a school that you're going back to, that you already have life at and everything. I got accepted into one of my top choices, and I went and visited it when I got back, and the entire time I was just comparing it to London, and I was not ready to leave here. I decided that I would put off going back to school in California, stay in London for another year, and if by the end of that year I decided I wanted to go back, then I would. So then the next year went by, and there was absolutely no way that I was leaving. It became my home. I couldn't imagine going anywhere else, and every once in a while I would get very jealous of the people in the States having the very stereotypical American college experience, going to football games and tailgates and frats and stuff like that, and I would get really jealous of it because I thought that that's what I wanted. I've always been really into like big school spirit, parties, stuff like that, and it's just very different here. It's very different. It's a very different experience. We don't have any sports teams to go cheer on. I don't even live with people from my uni anymore. I feel like much more of an adult than I think I would if I went to college in the States. And so I had a lot of jealousy for that. But then I also kind of realized it's probably not as great as it seems. Social media is a very dangerous thing, that everyone shows the best version of themselves and they show what they want you to see. And so people were probably thinking the same thing about me, that they were really jealous of my life here while I was jealous of their life there, and it was just stupid. There was no point in me thinking that. And so finally, I did a summer program at USC, which was my absolute dream school. I was there for around 2 months. I lived in a frat. I did the whole shebang, had the real American college experience, and really realized how much I liked it here. It was really good that I did that because I think I kind of got it out of my system. If I hadn't had done that, I think I still to this day would have a bit of that jealous side, wondering if I made the right choice staying here and everything, but I definitely did. I came back to London after that and didn't go back home for a year. I stayed in London for an entire year, didn't go back home for Christmas, or the entire summer after that. And I integrated my life here. I made friends with people that also lived here during the summer, and I got a job, and I made friends with people in my job that weren't from my school, and I got a boyfriend who lives here, and so I became really close with his family. I just kind of built roots here. Now I've lived in 3 different flats. Oh, do I have some horror stories about those? Let me know if you want to hear them. The flat that I'm in now is my home. I have all of my belongings here. I have put so much time and effort into this frickin' flat. It is not even funny. I am not moving out of here anytime soon. I feel like there should be more of a point to this whole like story time, but not really. I guess I love it here. I just kind of wanted to talk about how I got to this point. There were a lot of ups and downs. There were a few times that I wanted to come home, and I'm so glad I didn't. I don't know. The thing is, I never expected any of this to happen. If you had told me 5 years ago that I would be living in London in my own flat with the people that I'm around and the things that I do and everything, I would have laughed and told you that you were crazy. But things happen that you don't expect. I never expected to end up here. I didn't expect to love it as much as I did. I thought I would be going back to California and living on the beach, but I love London. In summary, I like it here. I'm glad I'm here. I started in January 2015 at my uni. I am at an American school, so it's the American school system. It's 4 years instead of 3 years. And so because I started January 2015, the natural course for me to graduate is this coming December. I was trying to graduate early, mainly just so that I would be walking with all of my friends at graduation, but that was a lot of work. I was not up for it, and it was okay not walking with my friends because I'm not entirely sure of what I want to do. I want to stay here. I want to work in London for at least a year, I think, after graduating. I want to see what it's like to live here not being a student. So I'd really like to do that. So I want to stay here for at least a year, and then I think I might travel elsewhere. I want to save up and go live in Spain or Australia or back to California or something. I am very much a traveling person. I have a very hard time standing still, so I would like to experience the world and go elsewhere. But you know what? Like I said before, you never know what's gonna happen. So for all I know, I could get a really cool job offer in like Iceland or something. So maybe I'll be there next year. But for right now, I'm just taking it as it is. Enjoying my summer here, figuring out life. Yeah. Okay. But if you have any questions about anything, ask. Don't be afraid to question me because, as you can tell, I like talking. Yeah, that is my life story. Make sure you like and subscribe and follow my Instagram for more. I post weekly, and yeah, hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time.